Hello viewers, welcome to the YouTube channel and I am your host Sushil Shalot. Well, we are here with a new video and in this video we are going to learn how to use the name range in Excel. So let us begin with the video and there we are at the workbook for name range. Here I am going to explain you following details or the video content will be as follows. So what is a name range? Highlights of name range creation. Method number 1 of creating name range, then the method 2, then creating name range for multiple column data, name range for with 3D reference and use and advantage. So let me tell you, name range is a allocation of name for certain cells or group of cells which is a range, a database, array or a table. So let us begin with what are the highlights of name range. How can one give a name range? Name range can be given up to 255 characters and it is necessary that these characters or this name is alphabetical or alphanumerical. One cannot give exceptionally numerical name. It's not acceptable to Excel and it's not possible. Well, one cannot give special characters. One can give underscore, full stop and backslash in the name. One can give a single alphabet to the name except for the alphabets R and C because R and C respectively correspond to row and column, so it is cell reference name and it's not allowed. Based on the worksheet and workbook category, the ranges can be defined. Subsequently in this video I'll explain you what is it. Two ranges in same category cannot have same name. That means a given range cannot have the same name, but same range can have multiple names. Deleting a name range used in functions will result in a name error because the function will not be able to track or trace out the name range because it's deleted. Well, inserting or deleting cells, rows, columns in a range does not change the name range location. The location remains the same. But if at all they are moved, the cells, rows and columns are moved, then the name range location gets affected. With this brief introduction, let us get on to how to create name range. So the first method is I'll demonstrate to you. This is the range of cell that I have chosen to give name and now I'm going to call this as commodity. So if you see in the cell reference box, I'm going to write the name of this commodity or and with that I enter there. So once entered, it is done. So if at all I go over here and choose the cells from this range, one can see the name commodity appearing very much at the top. It reflects the name of the range what has been chosen. So there it is. This is how one can choose to give the name range. This is a very crude and simple method of doing it. There is another proper method of doing it. One can go to formula tab, choose name manager or choose define name, and in define name one can define the name quite properly. So now here I'm going to give a name, say for example, say Jan stock, Janstock. So as I already said, there cannot be a space in between the text of the name. Well, now as I said, the scope or the category here can be either the workbook's name or a name of the worksheet. So one can give workbook as a name or choose the worksheet from the drop down here. So now I'm going to demonstrate you if at all I give it as a worksheet level or worksheet category name. How does it work? I have choose the reference cells, so I'm going to choose the stock values here from C3 to C7, and once done I'm going to say OK. So there it is, the Jan stock. When I choose these cells, I see the name very much there appearing on the top side, that is Jan stock. So well, how do I use it? Very good. I'll give you a live demo here. What difference does it make? Now, once the names of the ranges are defined, one can go here on the drop down and see. there is something called as commodity and Jan stock. So till now in this workbook we have created two name ranges, and there we see in the drop down. So the name range Jan stock is created worksheet level. So if at all I choose to go on some other worksheet and check in the drop down, I will not be able to see the worksheet level name range Jan stock, which was created only specific to this January worksheet. So now how do I use that? Now there is some decision that okay, for charity or for some reason the stock of 5% from the commodities are to be retained. So now with this commodity of Jan, that is Jan stock what we have, 5% of that is to be retained. So how do I find or put a formula here to retain the 5% stock of the January? Here it is, I'll give you a demo here. So here I go and say JAN, and as soon as I type JAN, I see there is a drop down and Jan stock pops up there. I choose it, and there it is. I have chosen Jan stock name range, and now I'm going to multiply it by 0.05, and 0.05 will represent the 5% of the stock that is to be retained. And as soon as I give enter, I see the value 11, that is 220 multiplied by 5% turns out to be 11. And if I pull down that formula down for the further cells, there it is. Now I see in all these cells, one can see the formula bar on the top of the screen. There it is. I am very much able to see that as I propagate through these cells, this Jan stock into 0.05 remains common for all these cells, and there it is, the value of corresponding stock. Say if deodorant has got 200 stock and 5% of 200 turns out to be 10. There is the value we see there. In this way, one can use the name range on local level, that is the worksheet level, specifically for that typical worksheet. It cannot be used in other worksheets of this workbook. Well, that is the difference between the two categories of worksheet category and workbook category. So friends, I explained you how what is the method 1, what is the method 2, what is method 2 pointing out to worksheet category and workbook category. How do we use that? So now the first thing that I created as method 1 of creating the name range, I created commodity. The spelling is wrong there, but never mind, it has taken it as it is. So one can create this, and how to edit this. Let us go to that part now. So I go back to the formula tab. In that I go to the name manager, and in name manager if I see here, I can see both the name ranges appearing here in the manager window. So here I see the values which are corresponding to the name range and refers to. So this refers to Jan worksheet cell number B2 to B7, that is commodity, and it is workbook level. The scope is workbook level, and one can put in the comment as required. Now either I can use this for creating a new one. I already showed you how to create it, so one can put the comment here as required. Fine. So now I go back, and if I want to delete this commodity category, I can do that by choosing it from here. So I say delete, and it asks a warning, gives a warning, and I say OK. Now there is Jan stock there. If I want to go and edit it, for example, if this cell range refers to I need to change or I need to rearrange or reselect, I can do that. Now I've added another cell there, and I am saying enter. As soon as I do that, here it appears and I say OK, it accepts. This way one can edit it. So now one by one, I explain you how to create it, how to create a new name range. Now I'm deleting it. So now I'm clear of all the name ranges here in this workbook, and now I'll give you a demo. And as I said in the beginning, if at all the name range is deleted, then the formula will return the error name. There it is in front of you. You can see that Jan stock multiplied by 0.05 returns the value error name. Fine. Now I'm going to explain you how to create a name range for given array database. Let's see how to do that. So now I'm going to create the name range for this range. How to do that? Let me go to formulas. From there, I'm going to select create from selection, or one can choose Ctrl Shift F3, and that will create or take you to this tab. Before that, I forgot to tell you that I need to create a database with a title or headings of the range, and I'll do that. I'll show that, but before that, I'll select the range, and from this range now I'll go to formula bar, and from there I'll say create for selections. Here it gives choice that create names from values in the top row, left column, bottom row, or right column. Now here two options are valid here because it finds the text there, and that's why it's giving choice top row or left column. I'm going to unselect left column and going to retain top row. So now if you see, this top row will be selected as the name of that range, and all six columns or six ranges will be given the respective title names. When I say OK, there it is. I can go over here in the drop down and I can see that all these six name ranges have been created for the given array. And if I go and see here in the manager, name manager, I see that these all are created on workbook level or workbook scope. Now, how can I use it? Let me give you a demo here. Now, it's quite obvious that whatever is the sale quantity multiplied by unit price will be the sale value. So it's quite simple. I'll go here and I'll use the first title here of the name range, say unit price. Now if you have observed, the title here in the array was unit space price, but now what has been created is unit underscore price. So as I said earlier, as I explained you earlier, there cannot be a space between the words used for the name range, and as soon as I say unit price, it displays the unit price range, and I say multiplied by the cell quantity. Now I'll have to choose the cell quantity, which is another name range here. It appears as soon as I type SALE, it gives me the choices like cell quantity and cell value. So now cell value is what I'm going to derive from this formula. Unit price multiplied by cell quantity. When I say enter, it gives me the value as 50,000. That is nothing else but 500 multiplied by 100 is equal to 50,000. If I decide to drop down or pull this formula down, it propagates the same formula like unit price multiplied by sale quantity. So now friends, let me tell you a beauty here. Now if you see or click on any of the cells in cell value, none of the cells will display or demonstrate or show you or reveal you will not be able to view the formula here. It just says unit price multiplied by cell quantity. So if at all I opt to change this unit price and cell quantity range, it will by default append the formula. For example, if I go here and I add a values here, there is some commodity say 400 and the quantity sold is 50. And if I decide to copy this down here, this formula, it is giving me value error because these two values are not part of the name range. So now if I decide to go and append the name range here, I can do it. I'll give you a demo here. I go to formulas, I go to name manager, and here in unit price, I'm going to select unit price and say edit. As soon as I say edit, it gives me a choice to select the cells. I select the cell that has been newly added and I say enter and say OK. The same thing I do with cell quantity. I go to cell quantity, I say edit and I choose the cells from top to bottom. I've added the new cell here and I say OK. As soon as I do and I say close, there it is, the cell value has got appended here. So the formula get appended by default as the name range is modified. I'll go back and I'll select not to have this in the cell because subsequently I'll be demonstrating or using it in the next cells. So I'll say Control Z, Control Z, Control Z, Control Z, and Control Z. So I have removed the values that have been added, and there it is. I am back to the initial phase. So there it is. Now you can see the cell values here displayed on the screen. Now this is the way name ranges can be used. Now if at all I want to create a name range here or a balance stock here, how do I do that? Now let's see how to calculate the balance stock. So I'm going to select a cell here and there I'm going to define a name range. Define a range name, say B, and the reference values will be January, dollar, or exclamation C3. I'm going to keep it relative minus January exclamation E3. Once these references are given, I'm going to say OK. I'll go over here and now I'm going to choose is equal to B. Once done, I'm going to say enter, and as soon as I do enter, it gives me error because the reference sales values has changed here. Let me go and edit it. Let me convert it into C3 and then again over here as E3. Say OK, and as soon as I do that, the value gets corrected to 120. And after I propagate that cell in the following cells, the value of balance stock pops up here. So balance stock here has been calculated by referencing another cell wherein the formula has been used for the referencing cell. Now one can use the formula to create the name ranges. Fine. Now let us get on to the next part of this video. So we'll be creating 3D reference name range, and as we have learned in our earlier video, the video if you have seen it, well and good, I have explained you how or explained in that video how to create the 3D referencing. So 3D referencing is using the same data range or array range from multiple worksheets from a given single workbook, and those can be used for reducing the work size or the time or the complexity of the calculations. So now here I'm going to use the 3D referencing. So now in the conventional method, if you see the sales quarterly, now if you want to measure the quarterly sales, that is from January to March, we have got three tabs here, three worksheets, January, February and March, wherein the sale values are being calculated in all three of them. And if I go to 3D reference name range uh, cell, here it is. The values are conventionally calculated by sum of January cells, that is F3 to F7, that is the cell values, then adding it the sum of February and then of March. In this way, the value of 9,600, or sorry, 9,46,000 has been brought up. So I'm going to check it again. So here it is. This is 2000 or 218,400 plus the cell value here is 327000 and March. There it is, 400, 600. Okay, so if I put it here together in the conventional way, this is the total sale value for that quarter. And the average of that quarter has also been found out by averaging out January sales F3 to F7, February sales from F3 to F7 and March F3 to F7. So as I said, the conditions are conducive for using the 3D referencing. So now let us do 3D referencing. So here I'm going to say is equal to, I'm going to put 3D referencing value here. But before that, rather than doing 3D referencing the simple way, let us go on to the formula and use the name range here. So if I go to formula and so if I define a name here and say I put a name here as quarterly, or I'll say Q, as stated earlier, a single alphabet also can be used. And now here I'm going to use a 3D referencing. Now just pay attention to how I'm doing it. So I'm going to put is equal to, I'm going to put the first tab from this and choose colon here. With that colon, I'll choose using the shift value or shift key. I'm going to choose the March, and there it is, from January to March has been chosen. Just give me a moment, I'll redo it. So now how I'll do that is I have chosen the January tab first. Using shift key, I'm going to use that March tab. and there it is. Once done, I'm going to go and choose the cell values from F3 to F7, and there it is. I have referenced the cell here. So now what it will do is it is going to reference the range of F3 to F7, that is the cell values from the three worksheets, that is January, February and March, and that is called as Q. So there it is. I have defined the Q as a as a name range, and the name range has been defined to find out the cells from January to March. So that is the 3D referencing that's done. So I'm going to use the formula here, sum, and once done, I'm going to use the 3D referencing. So the 3D referencing was mentioned with Q. I'm going to close the parenthesis and say enter. So as soon as I do that, here it is, the sum of the 3D referencing has been done. Now, but if you see now, the formula here is saying as sum of Q. So anyone who sees this and is not aware as to what is this Q, or is not aware of the name ranges, then this will be very much complex for that person to understand, and hence it is advantageous of using the name ranges for hiding the formulae if those are not to be revealed to the public. Now in this case, I'm going to use another function, or another function here, which can be used with 3D referencing. In the video of 3D referencing, I have explained which all functions are competent with 3D referencing, and average is another function which can be used here. So I'm going to choose average here, and again I'm going to use the 3D referencing as Q. There it is. I have selected it and I'm closing the parenthesis saying average. So as soon as I say average, it gives me within split of second the values of average. If one goes for count, again we can use the count function also. So count, I just give you a demo here. So count here is being used. I'm going to use January, and I'm going to count the sale values here. Next thing, I'm going to go to February sale and I'm going to count the sale value there. Then I'm going to go to March and count the sale values there. So once done, I'm going to close the parenthesis and say enter. Once done, I see the count value turns out to be 15. So now count, as you know, is a function which measures or which counts the numerical cells only, are has been used here. I'm going to use the 3D referencing here to give you a demo as to how the 3D referencing works. And there it is, the value turns out to be 15. So 5 cells in each tab has turned out to be 15 total count. This way, one can use name ranges or references in multiple complex situations, as well as in simple formulae, or it can be used in conjunction with 3D referencing, as I have demonstrated to you. There was a goof up little bit here when I was explaining how to use the balance stock, but I hope you have understood how it's to be created. And with this, I have come to the closure, or rather, I have come here to the first sheet again, where I explained what shall be the video contents. The first 6 content titles have been covered till now, and now I'll go to the use and advantage. So that is the next worksheet here. So I'm going to just read out this. I have already explained you all of these logical names to ranges, eliminate remembering the cell references. So remembering cell references is quite tedious, and many times it creates a lot of goof up and errors when person keys in wrong cell references, the formulae go wrong, the functions don't perform, and then the errors pop up as name or value or not applicable. So that is the advantage of using name ranges or name references, so that logical names can be easily remembered. It is easy to navigate between worksheets. I'll give you a demo here. So now if at all I am here on, say, worksheet February, and here I go in the drop down and click onto the stock. As soon as I click on the stock, I directly navigate to the stock name range, that is in tab January. So this way one can navigate from one tab to another or relevant tabs very fast. It reduces the formula and function length. I'll give you a demo within few minutes from now. I had promised when I had created some other video that I will give you this demo at suitable time. This is the time I'll do that. It reduces possibility of errors as I already explained. 3D referencing name ranges can be used across worksheets in the workbook. So by 3D referencing, the work of navigating between various worksheets drastically reduce the efforts of writing formulae and functions reduces drastically, and as a result the 3D referencing and the name ranges become hand in hand collaborative. Now, as I said, now I'll show you how it reduces the possibility of reducing the length of the formula or function. For that, I'll go to another tab, that is the tab of reverse VLOOKUP, where I explain how reverse VLOOKUP works up. So reverse VLOOKUP works from left to right and top to bottom, whereas reverse one or reverse VLOOKUP, that is VLOOKUP in conjunction with choose function, works from right to left. So here on cell C24, I will go directly and I have shown you here as to how the VLOOKUP works with the choose function. So if you see friends, there I have chosen the ranges from B2 to B23, C2 to C23, so on and so forth up to G2 to G23, and typing these all cell references was really a tedious job, and writing such long formula results many time in errors and mistakes. So to avoid that, one can use the cell references. I'll just pop up or I'll navigate to the next cell in this worksheet, and there you see I have chosen to convert the ranges into names 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I have used them effectively for VLOOKUP in conjunction or in nesting with choose function. So if I go here and see, if I click onto this, I can easily go and navigate to the name ranges. So this is 1, this is 6, and so in this way one can use it. So I hope you have got it. By using the name references or name ranges, I have drastically reduced the formula length or the function length, and as a result of using the logical names as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I have drastically reduced the possibility of creating an error. If you wish, I'll give you a demo once again. Here, in this case, if I say VLOOKUP, VLOOK, sorry, I'll use the function VLOOKUP. Now what to look up? I'm going to look up, say, G4 cell, and what I'm going to choose here or what I'm going to look up for is, now I want to use the function choose in conjunction or in nesting with VLOOKUP. So how I'm going to do that? I'm going to use the indexing here. The brace bracket is what I'm going to open, and from 6 onwards I am going to number the columns or the array here. I'm going to close the brace bracket. Now I'm going to choose the name ranges, that is 1 comma 2. I have already created these name ranges, so I am able to type them very fast. 3, then 4, 5, and 6. Once I have named these name ranges or have listed these name ranges, now I am going to close this parenthesis for choose, and after choose is done, as per the VLOOKUP syntax, what column do I wish to return. So suppose if I want to see the initial salary of this person, that is corresponding to G4, that is 33,500, that turns out to be into cell number 2, and I'm going to say 2 comma 0 for false or exact value. I'm going to close parenthesis and say enter. There it is. I see the value 33,500 pops up here, which is corresponding to this value here. So this is how one can use the name ranges or name references to reduce the length of the formula and optimize the chances of errors to happen. Now friends, while I was giving you a demo of how the name ranges are to be created, I showed how one can see the name ranges listed here in the pop-up or drop-down here. I need to mention here that the tables are also what are seen in the drop-downs. So here I have got a worksheet called table wherein Excel table has already been created. This table is nothing else but a table called as table 1. If I go into the review tab, I should be able to see the name, or rather in the design tab I should be able to see the name, that is table 1. This is the table here. So now how one can create, or rather I have already created the name references here. If I go here in the drop down, I see the names here as employee ID, name, gender, all of them have been already created. And now I'll give you a demo how the name references can be used. Here is a conventional formula of VLOOKUP wherein the cell D28 is over here. D28 corresponds to initial salary, so I'm going to use data validation to have a drop down menu here. I'm going to go to choose list, source, and I'm going to choose the initial salaries here from this list. Say enter and OK. So creating a drop down list was part of it. It's not the main part of this video, so I didn't explain you in depth. So here if I click onto this, I should be able to get the name of the person whose salary is appearing here. So now this is reverse VLOOKUP, or a VLOOKUP used in nesting with choose function, and there is a formula in front of you which is quite complex to see as such. Well, now if at all I choose to go ahead and use the name references here, I can do that very well. So now I'm going to choose this formula or this function, or from the reverse VLOOKUP. I'll demonstrate you how to use that. So I'm going to use the VLOOKUP function. So what I'm going to look up is this D28 cell. Now how do I look it up for? I'm going to use the choose function. In the choose function, I'm going to use the array that is reverse from fifth, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Once done, I'm going to close the parenthesis and then I'm going to give comma. Now value 1, value 2. Now these values are going to correspond with the cell ranges that I have created. So I'm going to choose one by one. Employee ID is the first one. The second one is name. There it is. The third one is gender, GEN. As soon as I type few of the alphabets in the initial ones, the drop down shows me the name range. Then comes common, there is common increment. Then comes initial salary. Don't forget to put the comma after every name range. After initial salary, the final one comes as revised, which is not part of the table. I'm not going to add it here. So there are the 6 name ranges as per the requirement. I'm going to close the parenthesis. I'm going to say comma, and as you see, the name appears in the fourth column. So I'm going to say 4 comma 0 and close the parenthesis, and I'm going to say enter. As soon as I do that, there it is, Anand Kapoor. That is the name corresponding to salary 84084 pops up there. So as and when I choose the salaries here from the drop downs, the name pop-ups there. And there it is, the first cell here. It shows as per the conventional method, and the second one here is what I am showing with the name range method. So the yellow cell is showing the name range values, and the blue one is showing the conventional way of showing the value. In case if I want to add a value here, say there is a new joinee, say here 2547, the name is say Fatima, let us write a name, then female candidate, her increment has to be 500, her initial salary has to be, say for example, let us put a 40,000, and there it is. And now in this drop down, if I choose the value of 40,000, which was already selected in the validation list. There it is. I immediately find out the name Fatima popping up there. This is how one can use name ranges in various contexts and various applications. I hope this video has been of great use or shall be of great use to you as and when you practice all these things. The advantages and the uses, please keep in mind. The requirements and the highlights are here, and how to do that I have demonstrated in the intermittent tabs. So friends, while we come to the closure of this video, I am sure that you must have liked it. Please express your likes at the YouTube channel. Subscribe the channel if you haven't done it till now. And in case if you have any requirements of new video creations or new topics or some topics where you require some kind of guidance from me, please do let me know at the comments in the YouTube channel page. I'll be back with my next video soon wherein I'll explain you how a dynamic name range can be created. I'm sure you'll be eagerly waiting for that. So till the time, goodbye.